Let's make the delicious little apple pie cookies. For this recipe, we'll need 2 cans of apple pie filling, or you can make apple pie filling from scratch. I have some cinnamon sugar, a beaten egg, 2 pie crusts, they're 9-inch, and I'm going to put the apples on the cutting board and dice them in smaller dices. They work out much better for the little delicate pies. I've gone ahead and set up my pie crust because when these pie crusts set out for about 5 minutes, they really work nicely. We don't want them too cold because when they're too cold, it's really hard to get the pie crust to unroll. So I set them out about 5 minutes ahead of time while I'm chopping the apples, and that's just the right amount of time. Nice little squares will do. I just cut one direction and then the other, and it works out really nicely. I have nice little squares to put in my little cookies. I have both cans of apple pie filling chopped up in little nice dices. Now I'm going to start with my pie crust. I'm just going to unroll it here on this little cutting board. I let it sit out about 5 to 7, 8 minutes, and then I'm just going to unroll it. And I'm going to take my round cookie cutter and just start cutting out round discs. I have a parchment lined tray here, and I'm using a 3-inch round cookie cutter. I'm cutting these nice discs to be the bottom of the cookies. I'm going to put these on the parchment lined tray about 1 inch apart. And of course, the size of your cookie cutter depends on how many little pies you'll end up having in the end. I'm going to use 1 box of pie crust for the bottom of the pies, and I'll use the other box of pie crust to make the little top pieces that are woven like little apple pies. When you get all the circles cut out that you can cut out, go ahead and form your dough back into a little disc and just roll it out so you can make a couple more little cutouts, and just keep doing that. Try not to warm it up too much with your hands and get it as nice and close to the original ones as you can. You want the thickness to be as close as possible so that they all bake nice and evenly. Once you get both of your trays rolled out and cut into little circles, into little discs, just like this, put them on the baking sheet. I have parchment paper underneath. Then I'm going to take about a tablespoon of the apple pie filling, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of the pie. You only need about a tablespoon in the middle, just like that, and you want to leave some room around the edge so that we can attach the top of the pie. Once you get all of the filling onto the little pies, just take an egg and put it in a bowl and just whisk it up really well with a fork. Then I'm just going to take a little pastry brush like this, and I'm going to brush all around the outside edge of the crust. And it's okay if you get it on the parchment paper because you'll be throwing the parchment paper away when you're all done. It makes it so easy just to be able to brush this on the crust. You don't want to get it all over in your apples. You just want to get it on the edge that you left exposed. I have all of the little mini pies ready to go. I have 2 trays of the little mini pies. I have some extra pie filling left over. I usually make this homemade, but for the sake of making an easy recipe, I use canned pie filling. But it seems that chopping up the apples makes the pie filling go a really long way. So I have some extra left over here, and I'm just going to package this and put in the freezer for another recipe. I've opened up box number 2 of the pie crust, and I'm just going to start cutting some nice thin little strips. Now you can use a pizza cutter or a really large knife, anything you want to use to cut these nice strips. I'm just going to use a regular kitchen knife because I can easily see exactly what I'm doing and how wide the strips are. Then once we get the strips, all the strips cut, I'll go ahead and show you with this one. We're going to lay 3 strips down on this little pie and just go ahead and push down on the end. We have one here. Now I'm going to leave one open at the end and just go ahead and tear that off or push it down and break the end. And then I'm going to lift up the one on the end and I'm going to lay one this way and press that down. It's going over the top of this one. Then I'll lift up the last one and lay this one down and put this back down. Then I'll take this one and I'll alternate it. I'll lift up the middle strip and put this down, press it on that end, lay it down and put the middle one back, right back into place. And I'll just keep working away here. Now this time I'll go back and I'll fold the first and second one back again. Just keep alternating. Now I'm at the end. I'm going to do 3 in each direction. So when I get to the end, I'll press everything down. There we have it, everything. You can adjust these a little bit as you need to. So let me show you up real close what the pie looks like. It looks just like this. And now I'm going to take my cookie cutter to clean up all of the edges. I'll put this right back down and I'll just twist my cookie cutter until it cuts off all of the edges and it's nice and neat. I'll just remove the extra little bit of dough and throw that away. And now we have our nice little delightful apple pie cookie. Once I've done that, I'm just going to lightly brush it with a little bit more egg wash. This will make it nice and glossy and shiny, and it's going to help our cinnamon sugar mixture stick to the top. Make sure when you make your little pie that you press all of the edges down so that they don't lift up when it's baking. All right, there we have it. And now I'll just sprinkle on a little cinnamon and sugar. If you plan to freeze your little pies, do not put the cinnamon sugar on top. Just leave the cinnamon and sugar off, and then you can put them in on a nice tray, a small tray, put them in the freezer, let them freeze. Once they're frozen, then you can take them out and package them. And you can keep them in the freezer for 3 to 4 months. The first batch of mini apple pie cookies are ready to go into the oven. Now I'll get the second batch ready. Be sure to set your scraps aside just in case you need to roll them out to have extra little lattice pieces to go across the top of your pie. The second pan of pies are ready to go in the oven. We're going to bake these 20 to 22 minutes at 350 in a preheated oven. And into the oven. The delightful mini apple pie cookies are out of the oven and they smell extraordinary. Make sure to leave them sit 10 minutes on the tray to cool before moving to a wire rack to finish cooling completely. And here's how the wonderful, delicious little mini apple pie cookies turned out. It's just like having a delicious little warm apple pie. These are wonderful, served with ice cream as well. I'd be so happy if you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And I'll see you next time.